Hello everybody, today we're going to do our FCE class, and this is a continuation of the last class that we did last week. So for today we will continue with the article and nouns, okay, article and nouns. So we will start with page 147, and we will go until page 148, alright, 148, alright, 149 and 150. So altogether 4 pages to do, right? 147 to 150. Alright, so let's talk about what we've learned last week on pages 146, alright? Just to review quickly, alright? So 146, we talked about the articles and nouns, right? So we know articles are the indefinite, right? A and an, and the definite the. And we will talk about how to use them more with different kinds of words, such as verbs, adjectives, and some word formations that would be new to you or new to some of you, okay? So in 147, page 147, we have a table, all right? So we have a table on the top part of the section, right? It says word formation, all right? So I will try to explain briefly why we have word formations on the whiteboard, okay? They're similar to your book, so please refer to your book. I'll just erase some of parts here so we have some space for explanations, all right? Alright, so when we read our book, alright, the blue table, we have word formation. What exactly is the word formation? What does formation mean? Right, very simple. From the word form, right? Form is a verb, meaning to make something, right? So word formation means the makings of a word, okay? So these are words that already exist, right? We already have these words. And then we will add some affixes, right? That means to put something, to fix something at the end or at the start of the word. In this case, at the end of the words, okay? So let's go to the first point. All right, to describe people, describe people. So again, these verbs are, what do we call them? Right, these words are, you could say they are adjectives, okay? They describe the jobs, okay? The jobs, but in truth, they are actually nouns, okay? They are actually nouns. Okay, so let's try to look at AR, ER, OR, and double E, okay? So we use these to describe people at the end of verbs, okay? So remember, these affixes, okay? We put them at the end of verbs to describe people, okay? Maybe their work, the type of person they are, okay? And then we have IST, okay? And then IAN to attach at the end of verbs and nouns, okay? So this one, only exclusive to verbs, right? AR, ER, OR, and double E. For as IST and IAN, they are exclusive to both verbs and nouns, okay? Verbs and nouns. Alright, so let's try to look at the words, okay? We have, for example, we will start with double E, okay? We have the word employ, right? Employ. Do you guys know what the word employ means? Right, employ means to hire. Right, to hire someone. Someone will employ somebody, right? A boss will employ someone. Now, the people you employ, the people you hired are called your employees or employee, okay? So here we have the affix, right? Double E. Does this mean the people who hire? No, right? This describes the people who we hired, okay? So these are the people we hired. Or basically your workers. Okay? Employee. So it reflects not the people who make the action, but who the action is receiving. Or sorry, who the action is received, right? Alright, now let's move on to maybe this one, okay? ER, very simple, right? We have the verb write, okay? Write, the verb write. And then someone who writes, we call them a writer, right? But since we have an E already at the end, we will just stick with the R, a writer. Now, in contrast with the first word, okay? Write, writer, this directly takes form from the subject of the first part, right? The writer, someone who writes, all right? So So in English, we can't really explain why this is the case, okay? Some words will reflect the action, and some words will reflect the subject itself, alright? Alright, now let's talk about IST. So we have IST, right? IST. And then this talks about nouns, okay? So we've talked about verbs over here. Now let's focus on nouns, alright? So IST. What can you think of? IST. Alright, so they give you an example, art, right? Art will become artist. So someone who makes art is an artist. Now what about someone who plays the piano? A piano is a noun, right? Piano. Someone who plays the piano. Right, we will call them pianists, okay? Pianist. A pianist. Alright? So why do we make these kinds of words? Okay, these words in English are quite new, but why do we write them like that? Why do we have to add another word? Right, because it's too complicated to say the person who writes, okay? Or the person who is employed, okay? Or the person who plays the piano. It is too clumsy. So we form words, okay? We form words from the original forms, okay? Such as verbs and nouns. Now, in other word formations, we can also turn verbs into nouns, okay? Verbs into nouns, not just describing people or describing something. We can change them as well. All right, we can change them as well. So I will erase this, all right? Try to use maximum space, all right? And then we can see that we have endings in AGE, okay? AL and ANCE, as well as ATION, okay? Maybe we're very familiar with this, okay? A lot of words, dictation, participation, etc., right? Many words. So let's look at the others, okay? Let's look at the others. AGE, okay? AGE. So the example they gave you in the book is drain, okay? Drain. What is a drain, okay? A drain can be a noun as well, okay? A drain can be a noun itself. Drain can mean the place where the water will go after you took a shower, right? So in the shower, there is a hole in the bottom of the floor or on the floor, and that's a drain. Now, let's talk about the verb drain, okay? The verb drain means to take out the liquid, take out some water or some kind of liquid from something, okay? To drain it, all right? And so the noun that I was talking about, drain, will become drainage. Drainage, okay? Drainage. AGE, drainage. Now we have other words, okay? We have other words that are false. False word formation. Think of the word image, okay? Now this has AGE, but this is not a word formation, okay? The word image itself, right? Image is a word in itself. Let's look at ANCE, okay? ANCE. Alright, so we have the word hinder becomes hindrance, okay? Maybe this word is too hard to understand. Hinder means to stop, okay? Stop somebody. Hindrance is the activity of something being stopped, okay? So let's talk about maybe perform instead, right? We have the word perform. We got the R, perform, right? The word perform. Perform is a verb, it's an action, right? To play out something, to perform. And then we can talk about the activity of performing, right? We call that a performance. PERFORMANCE, right? We have the ANCE here. Performance, okay? Alright, then we have Asian, right? Like I talked about, investigate, investigation, alright? And many more, such as ENCE, you can refer to your book, right? Refer, reference, ION, protect, protection. Alright, so mark down on your book, ION, ATION, and TION are both different affixes, okay? MET, employ, right? Employ means to hire. Employment means job, okay? Job. SION, decide, becomes decision. Alright, SIS, analyze, will become analysis. Okay, analysis. repeat, like I talked about, T-I-O-N and I-O-N and A-I-O-N are different. So this one, don't be mistaken with I-O-N, T-I-O-N, and A-T-I-O-N. They're all different, alright? M-E-N-T, right? We talked about before, and also the affix of Y, very easy. Injure, injury, inquire, inquiry, right? Alright. So just take a second to wrap your hand around it, okay? So we have different kinds of word formations for people, right? Verbs and nouns, and then changing verbs to nouns. Alright, and then finally we have another type, right? From nouns to adjectives. From nouns to adjectives. Alright, so let me erase this, alright? And we'll talk about the nouns to adjectives up here as well. Okay, so from nouns to adjectives, right? So we have A-N-C-E, right? Same as the verbs to nouns, right? But this is used as an adjective, right? Not an activity, not a noun, okay? Adjectives, remember. And then we have C-Y. We have E-N-C-E, same as the one in the top part, right? We also have E-N-C-E. But mind you, again, this part is nouns, this part is to describe, right? Adjectives. And then we have I-O-N, similar as the one on top, but remember, adjectives. I-N-E-S-S, I-T-Y, M-E-N-T, T-Y-N-Y. Now you can see from the two tables, right? A lot of them have something in common. The endings have something in common. Now, a lot of students think, right? Since we have A-N-C-E and A-N-C-E here, it's just all nouns, right? That is not the case. For example, in the case of past tense, right? We add ed. We add ed for past tense at the end of words, right? How about the word felt, right? I felt something. If the case is we always have to add ed in past tense, then you can tell me like, oh, Mr. Joe, this is not past tense then because it's not ed, right? This is a false accusation or a false idea of how to form words, all right? So there is no generic rule, okay? So we have to know the word itself. We have to memorize the word itself so we know what type of word it is, okay? All right. So let's look at the word with A-N-C-E, right? Where we have performance in noun, right? Performance in nouns. Now let's try to look at adjectives. Let's think of arrogant, right? Arrogant. Right? Arrogant is someone who is very aloof, who is very carefree about other people, so he doesn't really care about other people, only cares about himself, and thinks very highly of himself, right? Very, maybe super confident, too confident, right? Arrogant. Alright, arrogant, right? Becomes arrogance, okay? N-C-E. We change the N-T to N-C-E. Arrogance, okay? And then here we have F-L-U-E-N-T, fluent, right? Fluent will turn into fluency. Fluency, okay? Alright, so now there's a pattern here. You can try to look at the pattern. Arrogant, fluent, and of course E-N-C-E. Patient will become patience. Okay. Alright, so can you try to tell me what the pattern here is? For most part, okay, most of these words have a pattern. Right, they all end in the kind of NT, right? NT, NT. Right? Arrogant, fluent, and patient, right? And then arrogance, fluency, sorry, and patience, right? And then we have I-O-N, okay? Desperate, again with a T, becomes desperation, okay? So if we follow the rule A-T-I-O-N, desperatation, right? That's wrong. So I always remind you, I-O-N, T-I-O-N, and A-T-I-O-N are different, okay? They're all different. Alright, so there's no really rules, okay? There's no rules on which one to add on which word, okay? That's why we have to remember the word itself, the whole word itself, okay? Alright, so now that we have this table, we can refer to it later, use it as our reference, okay? Use it as our reference later, okay? Alright, so let's talk about the part 5, okay? Part 5 on your book, okay? We have an exercise here, reading and writing. Use the words in capital to form a word that fits in the space in the same line. So form a word using the word formation, okay? Using the word formation. Before we start doing that, let's talk about the word career. Career, C-A-R-E-E-R. Alright, what is a career? Does it have to do anything with cars? Now, right, career is a field of work, okay? Field of job or field of work, okay? So this means the type of work that you want to get into, right? Career choice, the type of job that you want to choose after graduating maybe secondary school, right? Or college or university. All right, so we have an answer already in number 0, okay? Choosing the right career to suit your person, okay? To suit your person, is that correct? All right, to suit your personality, right? To suit your personality, and one that lives up to your expect. One that lives up to your expect, right? Expect is a verb, right? Now we have to turn it into a noun. The activity of what we expect, right? Or expecting something. What is that activity? How do we turn that into a noun? So we have expectage, expectal, expectorance, expectation, expectance, expectation, expectment, right? We have different kinds of affixes. Remember affixes. So which one should be correct? Right, Asian, right? Asian, so expectation. Again, so how do we know this word? How do we know the word expectation? Right, from maybe listening to people talking, reading it from somewhere, okay? So there is no true way to learn which affix to put, right? Unless we know the word itself. So don't worry if you don't know the word, okay? We always have chance of learning new words, right? All right, next one. Expectations. Sorry, it should be an X. Expectations. Right, when choosing a job or a career, okay? We have to choose the one that lives up to our expectations, and it can be rather difficult. This is a consider amount of factor you need to take into account. Consider. Okay, consider. Considerable, okay? Considerable amount, okay? So here we have expectation, considerable, okay? Considerable amount of factors, okay? You need to take into account, you need to think about, including the require of the job. Require means what you need. Require is what you need. So what do you think? Require. So nouns into adjectives, right? Requirements. Requirements. For example, requirements mean how many years of school did you finish, right? I need at least someone who went to school for 4 years, university for 4 years, or I need someone who at least finished high school or secondary school, right? So that's a requirement. All right, requirements of the job. First of all, you need to know qualify are necessary before you apply. All right, same as requirements, right? Similar. So qualificage? All right, qualifants. What do you think? Right, it should be qualification. All right, so qualification, okay, or qualifications. So similar to requirements, okay, qualifications. How do you qualify? Okay, qualify. How do you fit in? Okay, it would be unwise, for example, to apply for a job which you are inexperienced. Okay, experience. Okay, will become inexperienced. Now remember in the first part I talked about putting endings, right? Endings, but in some words you have to put them in the front. In the front. In this case, experience will have in experienced. Okay, this one is past, we have a D, so inexperienced. Alright, so what does inexperienced mean? Okay, if we have experience meaning you've done it, right? You've experienced it. What is inexperienced? The opposite, right? You've not done it before. Inexperienced. Alright, if you really are, or if you are really ambition, okay, we should change that word. You should think about your career prospects. Okay, ambition, if you really are ambition. Okay, ambition, ambitious, okay? A-M-B-I-T-I-O-U-S, ambitious, I-O-U-S, okay? Ambitious. All right, so you see this word, right? This affix over here is not ambition, becomes ambitious. So this word formation is not in the table, okay? So again, I remind you, it's alright if you don't know the word, okay? Because some of the words don't have a general rule, okay? They're just made up that way, okay? All right, next one, prospects and whether there are any opportunities for promote. Promote, verb, again, promote, right? We need to change it into a noun. Promote, promotion, all right? Promotion, P-R-O-M-O-T-I-O-N, okay? Promotion. So is it T-I-O-N that we added or I-O-N only? Right, this one is just I-O-N, right? I-O-N, not T-I-O-N. Promotion. All right, let's continue. On the other hand, you may be looking for a job with less responsible and shorter work hours. Less responsible will become responsibility, right? Responsibility. Responsibility, okay? R-E-S-P-O-N-S-I-B-I-L-I-T-Y. All right, responsible, responsibility, I-T-Y, okay? All right, what about the word work? Looking for a job with less responsibility and shorter work hours. Work hours will become working hours, okay? Now I will explain this later, okay? Working hours. All right, last one, okay? Finally, ask yourself if your choice of career will be satisfying enough. Satisfying, also ing, right? Satisfying enough for you to keep for the rest of your life. So this just talks about our expectations, okay? For example, think about you finishing maybe secondary school, and maybe after secondary school you want to work already, right? Maybe work for a year before going to college or university. So you have to manage your expectations, right? I only finish secondary school, so what kinds of job can I have? Consider the different factors, okay? Maybe I can work in retail, right? In a shop, in a boutique, all right? What are the requirements to work in a boutique? Must have fashion sense, right? And your qualifications, right? What are the qualifications? Maybe able to talk to people in different languages, right? Have you experienced this before? Are you inexperienced, right? All right, or is it too ambitious, right? Too big of a dream for you? And if you're thinking of staying long term, is there a promotion for you, right? Can you promote from salesperson to manager of the shop? All right. Would you like to handle the responsibility, be responsible for taking care of the shop? And working hours, right? Working hours, that means the time that you work for in a day, in a week, or in a month, right? And satisfying if it's if you're content, if you're happy. All right, so the word working, right? We have ing over here, also satisfying. Let's focus on the word work. So consider the word formation, right? Formation, right? What does formation mean? Formation means making, okay? Word making. All right, so working as well, we have ing. So in some words, right? In some words, we will use the gerund form of the word, okay? ing, to use as an adjective. Working hours, right? Working hours. An adjective, all right? Okay, so that is our introduction to the topic for today. Now let's move on to the next part, okay? Let me just write down the lines again. We're going to do part 6. Very similar, okay? Very similar. But for this one, we will write down sentences, okay? Let me just write down the word. I erase 1 and 1, 2, 3, right? See? 1, 2, and 3. Okay. All right. So now let's try to answer the questions together. We can base it on the example, number 0, the example. I had never been to London before. So the word we should use is first, right? So It was the first time I had ever been to London. It was the first time I had ever been to London. Now let's try to do number one together, okay? Let's do all together, actually. Number one, the Prime Minister wouldn't say anything about the new tax law. Prime Minister is like the Chief Executive of Hong Kong, right? So Prime Minister, President, or the Chief Executive, right? The Prime Minister refused make on a new tax law. So say anything about, what do you think? What do you think is say of anything about? To comment, right? So refuse to make a comment, right? Refuse to make a comment. All right, comment, right? To comment on something, a noun will be a verb will become a noun. This one, right? We didn't change the word. The word stays the same. To comment, right? To make a comment, right? Noun. All right, let's move on to number two. Shall I take the kitten home? He asked himself. Whether, okay? He take the kitten home. He whether, right? We need to use the word whether. He pondered whether he should, or he wondered whether he should, right? So what does the word wondered mean? We already know, right? To think about whether he should, wondered, right? To think about. He wondered whether he should. All right, what about the next one? It's not worth talking to him. Not worth anything means it's pointless, right? It's pointless. We shouldn't have done it anyway. So what do you think? It's not worth talking to him. It's pointless, right? So the word there is point. There to him. There to him. We have to make it into a negative, right? So there is no point. Pointless. There is no point talking to him. Now you see that's another way of adding, right? Pointless. Point, right? Nouns and then pointless, right? Pointless. L-E-S-S. Talking to him. All right, number four. I don't recommend eating at this restaurant. Advisable. Advisable means you can advise to someone to do something, right? But in this case, it's the negative. I don't recommend. So it's not, right? It's not. We have to have the negative. It's not, and then the word advisable at this restaurant. It's not eating will become to eat, okay? So it's not advisable to eat, okay? Now we have a pattern here I want you to look for later, and I will explain, right? What about number five? Don't forget to sign the application form before you post it. Don't forget to sign. Alright, and the word has to be has. The application form, use the word has before you post it. So don't forget to sign. Right? So it is something you must do. So it should be the application form has to be signed, right? The state of the form has to be signed. Okay? Alright, number six. This particular mobile phone is very popular. And the word we should use is demand. Demand means a lot of people want it, right? Ask for it. So this particular phone is very popular. There, use the word demand for this particular phone. So there, again, the state of something, right? We have to use be. So the phone is, right? There is a big demand, right? A big demand. A big demand for. Now demand, right? Here is another word formation, except we don't put anything to the word. Demand is a, what do you think? Demand. right? It's a verb, right? You ask for something. But here, a big demand. Demand here is a noun, right? This is talking about the activity of all the people asking something, right? So it becomes a noun. All right, number 7. I promise I would find time to reply to all my emails. I promise I would find time to reply to all my emails. Okay? So word. All right, maybe this one is quite unfamiliar for you guys. So I'll just give you the answer there. I gave my word that. I gave my word that. So this kind of formation is a noun to a different kind of noun, okay? But comes from originally a verb, okay? So the word here, I gave my word that I would call you as soon as I find time or send you an email, right? I gave my word means I gave my promise to you, right? And promise, I promise to do something, right? I promise, that is a verb. But the word promise turns into the word here, okay? The promise noun form turns into the word. I gave you my word. That means I said it, and so I gave you my word, right? You have my word. All right, number 8. My parents don't want me to play outside in the cold weather, so object. So this is not object, okay? Be careful how you pronounce this one. This is refusing, right? Refusing means object. Object. The stress is on the second part of the word, second syllable. So my parents, we have to use the word object. Outside in the cold weather. Object means disagree, right? So my parents disagree. Object. Object to what? My parents don't want me to play. So let's think of the activity there. Object to, what is the activity? Me playing outside, right? Again, maybe this one you can call a phrase, right? Word formation also. So me playing, right, is the activity, right? Not a verb, okay? It's not a verb, even if we have ing. This 2-word consists of one unit, the activity of which my parents disagree, okay? All right, so we talked about the pattern before, right? So the patterns are to, right? We have the 2 infinitives quite a lot, right? To eat. To be signed, all right? To make a comment. So this really mimics or echoes from the beginning sentence that we have to work with, okay? So the way that we form the words depends, right? Depends very much on how the word or the sentence is formed in the beginning, okay? For us to change. All right, so check your answers, please. All right, and just to remind you again, object. Second syllable, right? And me playing is the activity, so they disagree to the activity of me playing. All right? All right, easy. Now let's go quickly to page 148. 148, okay? All right, on 148 we have an article about Beethoven, okay? Beethoven. Who is Beethoven, right? He is a music composer, okay? He is a composer of music, one of the greatest composers, actually. All right, his name is Ludwig van Beethoven, okay? Is remembered as one of the greatest, okay? And then we have the word compose, similar to part 5 on the other page, right? Compose becomes composers of all time. All right, so now let's jump in and answer the questions. His talent in music have been the inspire for many composers too. Has been the inspire, right? Inspire, verb, become noun, inspiration, okay? Right, inspiration, right? This is the thing that inspires something, right? The thing. So his music is the thing that inspires many composers. Beethoven was also ordinary. Ordinary. So ordinary means everyday person, right? Like me, maybe I'm a very ordinary, okay? Nothing special about me. So what's the opposite of special? Sorry, not special, very special, right? So the word ordinary is the opposite of special. So we have to put something in front, again, like the inexperience, right? Extra ordinary. Extraordinary. So the word extra means a little bit more or so much more, okay? So much more than just ordinary, extraordinary. Talented pianist, okay, IST, who had a highly regarded reputation as a music. Music becomes the person, right? So what is the person who plays music? Musician, okay? Musician. IAN. We learned that from 147, right? Word formation. In early life, he began to lose his hearing in his late 20s, but only gradual. Gradual. This is an adjective. We have to make it into a adverb. Gradually. Okay? Gradually. Ly. Oops. Gradually. Okay? Gradually means slowly or by and by, after a few while. Okay? Gradually. In spite of this, he continued to create masterpiece throughout his life. Remarkable, right? Remarkable. Very memorable, remarkable. Or a thing that can change, okay? Change music, remarkable. Even when his deaf was almost total, he still managed to compose brilliantly. Deaf. And then he has something that makes him deaf, so deafness, right? Like blindness, deafness. Even in his deafness, right? He was able to make music. Beethoven was eager to make a living without the depend on the church or the crown. Depend becomes dependence. Very good. Independence, right? Dependence. So what does dependence mean? Without being or relying on someone. He did this by selling his compose, verb, change it to noun. Compose becomes composition, right? Composition. Something he made, right? Something he composed. To publishers by attracting a number of patrons. Wealth becomes wealthy. Right? Noun to adjective. And then lastly, finance, to provide him with finance support, financial, about money, right? Finance. Oops. Should be letter I. Financial support. Okay? Financial support. Alright, so the table down below, an, a, and the, or the, okay? So the word the, we can pronounce the or the, depending on the word that follows, that precedes it. If it's beginning with a vowel, then it's the apple, right? If it's not, then it's the paper. Alright, a and the, any, or some, write them down in the spaces provided, okay? I assume you know how to use a, and the already, so let's, we'll skip the explanations of the table. If you want to refer to it, you can refer to it at any given time if you feel confused, okay? So number one, right, I need a car and I know, what do you think? Alright, so I will answer the first parts, okay? And then you do the next parts by yourself. So there are 3 questions, right? I'll do the first parts. I know the kind of car I want. I know the kind of car I want. I must do 160 kilometers an hour and also do, alright, kilometers a liter. Okay, what about number 2? Have you got money? Have you got a money, and money, the money, any money, some money? Any money, or have you got any money? What about number 3? Right? Blank, everyone knows the lion is the king. So what should we put there? Should we put anyone, and anyone, the anyone, anyone, some anyone, or everyone? Right, nothing, right? We should put nothing there in the first part, so nothing. What about number 4? Blank man came to the door this morning and asked to see the water meter. So what do you think? A man, and man, the man, any man, some man. A man, right? Capital A. So this is the first time we talk about the man, right? This man. So we should use a. Alright, number 5. How much is dress material in the window? How much is So we're referring to something, we're pointing to something. How much is a material? No, right? The dress material. We're referring to something, right? And the listener already knows what it is about. All right, lastly, let me give you advice. Advice, an advice, the advice, any advice, some advice. Some, okay? Advice is not countable itself, right? But we can count the pieces of advice someone gives to us, okay? So some advice. All right, so let's go through 149 quickly, okay? This is a table that explains when to use the definite article the or the, okay? So over here, quite a long page. All right, so we'll take some time explaining this and revising this. And then for 150, page 150, I will do some parts with you, and this will be your homework for this week, okay? Very simple, just using the definite article the or the. All right, so when is the used, okay? It is used before some many subtopics, okay, or subtitles, okay? So first is the unique names. Unique. What does unique mean? UN usually means one, right? So unique here means one of a kind, okay? One of a kind. So Earth, there is only one Earth. So instead of saying I live on Earth is okay, but if you want to refer to Earth as something, right, you say the Earth. The Earth. The. All right. What about the city of Rome or Vatican, right? Inside there's a Colosseum, right? The Colosseum. So you don't say I want to visit Roman Colosseum, right? Which one? There are quite a few, but you want to talk about the unique one, the one that's one of a kind, right? So you say the Vatican or the Roman Colosseum, right? All right, and also some names, okay? This echoes the unique names as well. Some names of what? Some countries, some hotels, some restaurants, okay? Some museums, even magazines as well, okay? Or institutions. The University of Hong Kong, right? The University of Hong Kong. Or the United Kingdom, okay? The United Kingdom. All right, so I will explain this briefly. We use the for United Kingdom, okay? But we don't say the China, right? But we say the United Kingdom because United Kingdom consists of many different countries, right? England, Scotland, Wales, and Ireland or Northern Ireland, right? So these are many countries. So usually, right, the United Kingdom and the many countries, you would think it's plural. We will put the in front of plural, okay? So for example, the United States of America, right? Because there is more than one state, okay? States, there's an S there, so we use the, or the United States. And then the Plaza Premium Hotel, right? Or the Plaza Premium Lounge in Hong Kong Airport, right? We will use the in front. All right, for instruments, dance, and other performance art, okay, we will say the, okay? The piano, I can play the piano. You don't say I can play a piano, right? I can play the piano, I can play the flute, I can play the guitar. I can dance the samba, right? Or I can dance the salsa. But some dances, right, we don't need to put the definite article. For example, hip hop. I can dance hip hop, right? You don't say I can dance the hip hop. So it really depends, okay? Depends on the word itself. And there is no true way of knowing. We have to know, just know intrinsically when to use them, okay? All right, what about titles? Titles means the names you give people, right? So the king, okay? The king or the duchess, okay? Also names of family, okay? Family as well. So that's also a title, right? So for example, the Chans, right? The Chans were to visit, but they did not come. Or the Lees, right? The Lees are coming to visit me tonight. All right, and then so on and so forth, okay? And then we also have adjectives as plural nouns, okay? Mind you, only plural nouns. For example, the young today are very hooked on electronic devices. So the young is an adjective, right? Becomes plural noun, the young. All right, and then we have many more points, but these are just notes, okay? Notes reflecting of what we've mentioned on top before. Now let's go to how we use before, okay? The before, okay? This is omitted, so removed. So really, we don't really use them, okay? But we have to know why, okay? So for proper nouns, for example, my name, right? We don't say The Mr. Joe is my English teacher. We just say Mr. Joe is my English teacher. No need the definite article the. Alright, how about for names of sports, games, activities, maybe even colors, drinks, or even languages, right? We don't need to put the. So, I play football, I play rugby. You don't say I play the football, right? Okay, now name of countries itself, right? A country itself. Just to reflect on the UK and England. So England is a country in the United Kingdom, right? So England is a country itself. We don't say the England, right? It's just England. I've visited England many times before, but I've never been to Scotland. Okay, 2 countries in the UK. All right, possessive adjectives, right? Adjectives to talk about possessions, okay, what you own. So you don't say, can I have the your pen? Or can I have your the pen, right? Your itself is a unit talking about the pen, so we need to omit the word the. Alright, lastly, 2-word names or even 3-word names, okay? Especially when the first word is a name of a person or a place. Now, Windsor Castle is a castle in the UK, right? Where the king and queen live, okay? So we don't say, I visited the queen, okay? The queen is the title, so we have to put the. I visited the queen at the Windsor Castle. At the Windsor Castle is wrong, right? So because we have a name already here, a name of a person, so just say at Windsor Castle, okay? At Windsor Castle. Okay? Like Learning Grace, we don't say at the Learning Grace, right? At Learning Grace. Alright, and then we have some notes as well reflecting here. So please read those notes on your own, alright? So you can familiarize yourself. Okay? I suggest reading the notes while doing this as homework, alright? So let's go to page 150. We will do it as homework. Okay, but I will do 5 questions for part 9 and then maybe 4 questions for part 10. Alright, very simple. Just write down the. Or not write down the, okay? So number 1, okay? Shall we have the lunch? Is wrong, right? So it's omit. Don't put anything. At the home or at home? At home, right? At home. Or go to the Royal Oak and Castle, or just Royal Oak and Castle? We need the, right? These are the Royal Oak and Castle. This is the unique places, right? Only one of a kind. All right, number 2. Is it the Prince Philip visited the Royal Albert Hall today? No, right, it's just Prince Philip. Prince Philip, okay? Prince Philip. Why? Okay, this is here in this part, okay? 2-word names. Prince Philip, okay? We have the title already. We don't say the Prince Philip, okay? Visited the, okay? Unique places. The Royal Albert Hall today. There's only one. Number 3. Is it the Pete's Bar is situated in the Terminal 1 at the Heathrow Airport? Right, so it's Pete's Bar, okay? Terminal 1, no need. And Heathrow, right? No need. Okay, so nothing. Alright, number 4. How about Browns? Browns is a family name, right? So it should be the Browns, right? Like the Chans or the Lees, okay? Were first to leave party at midnight. The Chans were the first. Okay? The first to leave the party. In this case, we're talking about well, this one, for example, talking about the party in context, right? So mind you of the context. The first, right? The very first. The best, okay? Alright, the party at midnight, so nothing. What about number 5? Number 5. We landed at Charles de Gaulle Airport, so nothing, right? Again, 2-word names, Charles de Gaulle Airport. And then in Paris, right? Name of a city, no need to put. Not the Paris, right? Unique place, unique name. Alright? So this is the answer for part 9. I assume you could do part 9, number 6 to number 22 easily by yourself, okay? So number 6 to 22 will be given as homework. Please practice at home, okay? There is no point for you if you don't practice. So please practice them at home. Alright, so everyone, let's try to do part 10 together. Just simple, right? Fill in the word the, okay? The definite article, okay? Refer to page 149. You can go back and refer to it if you get confused, alright? So let's start with the first one, okay? The first one is an example for all of us, right? I've just returned from, do we need to put the America? No need, right? So we don't need to put anything. After spending summer working with children at a camp. Alright, so summer, after spending summer. You can say after spending summer, but we're referring, again, we refer. That means we talked about it before, right? So when we refer, we will say the. After spending the summer, right? A specific summer, a unique one. Working with children at a camp for blind, okay? Blind is an adjective, right? We use it to talk about the plural nouns, the group of people who are blind. So, the blind, right? The blind. All right, number 4. What about number 4? I traveled to States. All right, remember we talked about the United States of America. States is the United States, right? So we have the United or the United States. So it should be the States, okay? So a group, right? The United States, a group put into one. So we use the, okay? And then number 5, by aeroplane, by the aeroplane. Do we say the aeroplane? I went to a different country by the airplane. No, right? By airplane only, so nothing. All right, let's continue. Number 6. Number 6. I was on. Okay, when I was on the plane. Very good. So when I was on the plane. So here we have nothing, right? Airplane, and then here we have the plane. Why do we put the? The airplane. Well, I was in the airplane. Or on the airplane. Why? Why? Alright, because we have a preposition in front, right? On the airplane, okay? On the airplane. We were talking about the airplane already, so this one refers to the 5th one. Again, when we're referring or have reference, we will put the, okay? When I was on the plane, I met some people going to work at the camp. So which camp is this? The camp for the blind, right? There were the Germans and Italians, right? Is that correct? The Germans and the Italians? Is that correct? No, right? So for people, we don't need the, okay? So just Germans and Italians. And some people from Netherlands. Netherlands. We have S at the end, Netherlands. So Netherlands is a group of, you can say, tribes, right? A tribe, and then they consist of many tribes making up one whole country, right? Or different regions, and then making up one whole country. So it should be the Netherlands, okay? The Netherlands. Right? However, it was French who were most noticeable. What do you think? So here we talked about Germans and Italians, right? Germans and Italians. What about French? We're referring to them, right? We are referring to them. So we talked about Germans and Italians, and then in contrast to them, someone is very noticeable, right? So the French, okay? The French is very noticeable, or were most noticeable. So we have superlative here. Superlative. Do we need to put the? Yes, we do, right? The best, the most. The most noticeable nationality, as there were so many of them. Once I arrived, blank most of my time. Again, most, right? Most. So it should be the most of my time. The most of my time was spent arranging activities such as, do we have the music? No, right? We don't say the music, right? So this is names of sports, activities, games, etc., right? Omission. All right. So what about the children learn to play guitar? Learn to play guitar or learn to play the guitar? It should be the guitar, okay? Learn to play the guitar. So musical instruments. All right. What about number 14? To practice the swimming or just swimming, and even to speak the French or French. What do you think? Quite simple for the first part, right? So swimming, right? Activity or sport, nothing, right? Swimming. What about French? Are we talking about the people? No, we're talking about the language, right? And look at maybe go back to your to the table on 149. Let's look at languages. Do we have the? I speak the English. Is that correct? No, right? So I speak French. So it should be French. Nothing in between, okay? After the camp was over, I spent some time traveling. My favorite sights, my favorite views or sightings were Grand Canyon. This is a unique name. A unique name for a unique place on the earth. So it should be the Grand Canyon, right? There's only one Grand Canyon. Okay, and Lake Michigan. Lake Michigan. This is a name of a place. Name of a place. How many words do we have in this name? Two-word name, right? So it should be just Lake Michigan. There is nothing. Okay, Lake Michigan. All right. I also visited Empire State Building. The Empire State Building should be the Empire State Building. So this one, right, we have the word building itself, right? So it should be the Empire State Building, right? In contrast to Lake Michigan. All right. What about, and I loved Disneyland. Do we say I love the Disneyland since Disneyland is one of a kind? No, right? It's an establishment. So Disneyland, I love Disneyland. I had a great time and I hope to be able to do same things. Same things. Right, plural, right? The same things. The same things. The same things, all right? So please check the answers. Number 2 should be the, right? The summer. Number 3 is the blind. Number 4, the states. Number 5, just airplane, okay? And then number 6, on the plane. Remember, we have a preposition, so we have to put the word the. All right, for this reference, we have to refer to it again. Number 7, Germans and Italians, so nothing. Number 8, the Netherlands, okay? The Netherlands. Number 9, the French, the people, right? Number 10, the most, superlative. Number 11, okay? Most, again. And number 12, nothing, okay? Music, it's an activity. Number 13, the guitar. Number 14, swimming, nothing, right? Because it's an activity. Number 17, is nothing, right? Because it's French, talking about the language, versus the French, the people, right? And then number 16, the Grand Canyon, okay? So unique place on earth, the Grand Canyon. Lake Michigan, right? 2-word names. And then Empire State, the Empire State Building, one of a kind, right? And then Disneyland, name of a place again. And then lastly, we have the same thing, right? This is plural, actually, the same thing, right? We're talking about as an adjective into noun, the same thing. All right? Okay, so please refer to your tables, okay? Because we will continue to talk about this in the next lesson, all right? So articles and nouns, okay? Articles and nouns. Different types of word formations for all the nouns, okay? Try to familiarize yourself. If you want, you can go to a dictionary and look at the different types of words, okay? Because there is no set rule on how to make a word, right? So look at the dictionary and see what kind of words. You can write them down and then we will maybe talk about them when you go back, if we go back to class, right? All right, so please read so you won't forget anything, right? It's important to read and revise so you won't forget, well, otherwise it's pointless that we listen to me and then forget everything, right? All right, so please remember, we have a homework, right? The definite article, the or the. Very simple. This part is quite long, so try to analyze each words in between. So the dots, right? The words in between. And their context, if you've talked about them once, or you've talked about them again. So we use the if again, right? Okay, everyone. So that's it for today's class, all right? So please remember, right, to study article and noun, 147 and 150. We will study again next week. Thank you.